This video is a demonstration of moving data from Mentor's library manager, the Expedition library manager, into our tool. I'm not going to show the process all the way to another export, but just getting it into our tool and what the data looks like. To start with, we have to use an older version of Mentor because the newer versions require a license for the compress and decompression of the ASCII files. So we're going to be using version 2007. We'll select the library manager, as you see here, and we're going to load in the database that we're interested in working with. Once we've done that, we're going to go to Library Services, and you notice that we have a selection of items that can be translated. We're able to translate the pad stacks, symbols, cells, and parts. I always start with pad stacks. We do an export, an ASCII file, and we select an ASCII file. Now I've run through this once before just to verify everything worked, so these files already exist. We're just going to overwrite them. A couple of these I found took quite a bit of time to run. That pad stack file has been created. We'll go to Symbols, Export, ASCII file, and here instead of border I'm going to pick out their capacitor. I'll select a file. Again, it already exists, and you'll note that there's quite a few of those, and therefore when we hit the apply button it seems to take a couple minutes to get it all moved over. Of course, this is all Mentor software at this point. Each of these divisions or partitions has a series of parts. I'm only translating the capacitor series at this point. To do this job correctly, you would have to go through and translate all of the different partitions that show up here with all of the different symbols and so forth that exist. Alright, so we have finished the symbol. We're now going to look at cells. Again, I'm going to export to ASCII. I'll select the file that we want, and instead of base, I believe I selected this last time, and we will export all of those files. Alright, finally we'll export the parts to an ASCII file, and again I have to make sure I select the capacitor segment or partition. I move all of those over, I hit apply, and we're done. Close this window and move that VM out of the way. This is my tool. In my tool, we're going to go to File, Import. We're going to select VB99, Very Best 99, which is an old name for Expedition. We're going to select an ASCII file, the pad stack name, here, the cell name here, the symbol name here, and the part name here. We'll say OK. You must select each of these buttons in order for the translation to run correctly. Now some of these all of these should work with the defaults, or at least that's what I'm using for this demo. So you should be able to just walk through and say OK to anything that it has a question about, except this one. Under layer mapping, it's going to go look at all the layers that are available in your libraries, and it's going to ask us to map our layers to your layers. Now what I did is I loaded our default Expedition to Wizard file, and it mapped the layers accordingly. You might want to spend some time going through this and doing a better job of mapping to get a better translation. But since I don't know where your data is or why it is, it's difficult for me to know what layer to put some of this on. These are the layers that we believe are coming from your tool, your library. I'm sorry, these are the layers coming from your tool. These are the layers that are in our library. Okay. Once you've loaded that, you say OK and convert the database. It will take a few minutes. With the version that you have, we found that there was missing text styles on some of the invisible or not visible attributes in the symbol, and that required us to hit an inordinate number of OKs to warnings that there was a text style missing. We therefore modified our code to not show that for this demo. You will have to press an OK button hundreds of times to get this to pass. We did find that we got a reasonable library out of this. It would require some cleanup, I believe, in order to easily be ported to another CAD tool, but the data certainly appears to be there in order to do some of those cleanups. We get a log file with issues. I want to just pull that out of the way, and then we have a library. You'll see the pad stacks here, the cells that we brought across here, the symbols, and then the part data, or what we call components. Show you what a few of those look like. There's your footprint. I'm actually going to slide some of this around a little bit. There's your footprint. I'll pull this one off the screen for a minute. This is the information that I've been able to import. All different kinds of footprints here. I will send this file to you so that you can look at some of this yourself. Then we also have symbols. These would be a few of the symbols we saw. And now we will look at components that match up. And therefore you will see things like this going on. You may notice that there are not a lot of attributes here for these components. Only the ones that were visible are showing up. The invisible ones exist. In fact, I could demonstrate that by coming over here and viewing the hidden data, and you can see all of the attributes that you may have as part of this symbol. So the data is there, we just choose not to show it in general. So that's how easy it is to bring it in. If you then wanted to send it back out, it would not be very hard to clean this up and export it. The cleanups that we would likely do would have something to do with the size of the fonts of the text, and potentially widths of silk screens so that they're all similar and so forth. But this could probably be exported directly to another CAD tool like Altium in its format as it exists. I hope this video helps, And if you have questions, feel free to contact me either email or voice on the phone.